As soon as this cow walked in the chute and I picked this foot up, I knew I had my hands full. The problem? Well, it started right down here. Welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. If you couldn't spot the problem before, after a couple of swipes of the grinder, it should be a lot clearer now. The other claw, the lateral one, is actually in pretty good shape, so I don't need to take a lot away from that sole, but I do have to notch this out because the problem that we're going to find is up underneath here. If you were wondering if that little mark actually hit a problem, I think that can confirm it definitely does. Now the real work begins. We know where that lesion is, and we also know that there's separation up above. And yes, that's right. The two are connected, so we need to remove this loose horn all the way from here, all the way up to the top. What's hard to appreciate in the video is how these knives are designed and the way that that hook at the end of that knife works. I'm able to hook that loose hoof horn and pull it away as I make those cuts, which makes it that much safer. I don't have to really worry about getting into any of the corium underneath because as I make that cut, I'm lifting that hoof horn away and making that cut safely. You can see how debris has worked its way up underneath that loose hoof horn and why it's important that we take it away. What you can appreciate with this video is how much more difficult it is to work your way through that hoof horn, that wall horn, versus that solar horn. It's much harder, and you can see that as I'm making these cuts. When I go through that solar horn, that knife kind of zips right through there like it's going through a knife through hot knife through butter, rather. And where you get into that wall horn, and it's much firmer, much more dense, and much harder to cut through. Once again, as always, that chlorhexidine comes in handy to wash both the hoof and my tools. One of the more difficult areas to reach in any hoof trim is this area in the interdigital space in between these two claws. This hoof horn is also loose here, so we need to get it away. However, there's just not a lot of room to work in there, so you got to kind of contort yourself, get that knife maneuvered in just the right spots so we can remove that hoof horn as well safely. In this case, that hoof horn is loose, so it needs to come away. And of course, we're going to need a block in that other claw. We don't want her walking on this one. Now, most of the time, I'm going to get that block in place before I wrap this foot up. However, in this case, I've got this claw nice and clean right now and trimmed up, so I'm going to get that wrapped before I prep this other claw. I don't want to get any more debris and fling it into that area that's already cleaned up so nicely. The glue is now cured. This foot can go down. We'll give you a good view of it as she's standing on it, so you can see kind of how that block is placed and how she's now putting weight on that foot. Then we'll let her out, and you can see how she walks. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you all on the next one.